Hi all, another music review here. Joyner Lucas, ADHD2. This came quite surprisingly fast for me. I'm becoming quite a big Joyner Lucas fan. I think he's one of the best of this generation. Aside from the ones who started in 2009, the Drakes, the Kendricks, the Big Sean's, like that wave has gone, a new wave has come, and Joyner Lucas is one of the best to do it. He's really lyrical. He makes hip hop. He really cares about hip hop to make the kind of music he does. It's not really commercial. He stays independent as well. He's very lyrical, but he's versatile. And he's rapped next to Eminem. Like, he's not necessarily at that level, but that's what he's trying to be, and that's kind of what he does. So he's a very lyrical rapper and he's a fast rapper. I really like him. He's one of my favorite of this generation. And I only recently listened to Not Now I'm Busy, which is his last album, which came out last year. And within a year, he's put out another one. So he's really grinding. And that was a long album. It was like 18 or so tracks, which means I only get through the first half. This one also, so now he's put another one out, which is also just as long. So yeah, another grind. But one thing that stood out about the last album was there were no skips. Like, that is frustrating to me almost, because what I'm used to doing is getting a 25 track album and then cutting it down so it's a good tight 13, because that's how many I want. I want that 45-minute mark 13 track album. And then he comes out with this thing which is so big, but it's loaded with such great songs that I just keep all the songs, go halfway, and I just don't hear the second half. So it's one of the dangers of having albums that are too long. I don't know the second half. That was somewhat the case with Biggie as well, Life After Death. So this is I don't know if I said review. This is a first listen of Joyner Lucas. So I'll listen to each song and then I'll comment afterwards. So I won't include the songs on here for the sake of copyright reasons. But yeah, I'll briefly discuss each song. And I'm going to talk about how good of a time this is for hip hop. You know, this podcast is for hip hop heads. If you're here to listen to the album, the first listen is coming. But let's just talk a little bit about the state of hip hop right now, because I thought it was dead. You know, in 2024, I was feeling that way already, and then the beef happened, and then it was silent after that. And so then I thought, okay, maybe it was that was the last bastion of hip hop, and now it's over. But since then, I had to do a bit of digging. That's one thing that changed in 2025. Like, hip hop now is not served to me on a plate. It's not top of the charts. It's not just finding me. Now I have to go and find it. When I went to search for it, if you put effort into searching, you find better stuff. So I have found better stuff, and hip hop is alive if you want it to be. It's going underground, but it's alive. And Joyner is actually quite overground. He's not mainstream, but he's visible. So you don't have to dig too deep for him. But there's JID as well, which is another one who's turning into a bit of a Kendrick Lamar for me, sadly. Someone who the lyrics just go over my head, and the things that he raps about I don't really grasp. So I need someone like Joyner Lucas who's a bit more accessible to me. I understand everything he's talking about. Yeah, JID, I just don't. But I like him, and I wish I want to like him. He's like vegetables. I want to like him. So I'm looking forward to the JID album coming out. There's a Cardi B album coming out. So yeah, hip-hop that's not an example of why hip-hop's in a good state, but with JID and Joyner Lucas, and there's lots of other, more so underground rappers, but I'm starting to think, actually, it's not doing too bad. And some of the old guys are still around. There was a Lil Wayne album, there's a Drake album coming, there's been a Kendrick album in the last year. So, and we're waiting for J. Cole and his album to fall off. So the old guys are still doing it. Some of the new guys are doing it as well. So I think, and the Clips album, I loved that. It seems to me that actually hip hop is what you want it to be. If you want it to be dead, then it is dead, because you won't see anything unless you dig for it. But if you want hip hop to be alive and you're going to dig for it, you're going to find it, and you're going to strike gold better than the last 15 years, because it's been very commercial. Now the money is gone. The big labels aren't supporting people, and so now it's just a matter of finding people who are generating their own buzzers outside of the major label system, out of the easy promo they used to get. So that's the introduction to Joyner Lucas's ADHD. I must state, by the way, I hate sequel titles. ADHD2. ADHD in itself was not a great title. I mean, he has a song called ADHD, which is also a practice I despise. And he mentioned the ADHD he has, but to call the entire album that when the album isn't really about that, like, titles are an art to me. And then he had the picture of him on the front. It was imaginative, with his hands covering his face, but you could still see his face. That was imaginative. I guess he was stressed and frustrated and was displaying that. So that might link in with the ADHD, but the title for the entire album didn't work. So for him to call this ADHD2, it's just a meaningless name at this point. And it's not even like a brand name that he needs to carry around with him. It's not like the Carter. The Carter clearly is associated with Lil Wayne, but ADHD is just a disorder. It's not even a name that he can own. You can't brand that. You know, imagine that. Oh, the ADHD7 is coming out. Doesn't really have the same impact as the Carter 7 if that ever comes out. Probably Lil Wayne's going to come out with another one in 3 years or so. So there probably will be a Carter 7. But ADHD, yeah, I just don't like it now it's a series name. It's not just a bad album name. Now it's a series name. Anyway, I'm ranting about hip hop, but yeah, I care about this stuff. So now we can get into the long slog of 18 tracks. Like, what annoys me is I've decided that this podcast is going to be as fun as possible for me, therefore cutting out all the work. So I promised myself that if I didn't like a song, I would stop it halfway and skip it and briefly talk about it and move on, which I should have done with the Carter 6 because I cut it down to about 13 tracks when I kept it for myself later on. But I did the 21 track review first listen. But Joyner isn't going to I'm not going to be able to do that with Joyner Lucas because, as he proved on Not Now I'm Busy, there aren't going to be skips. He's actually really good at what he does, to the point where not that many duds. That's an impressive skill. We're in the age of bloat, where people put out 25 track albums and I like 50% is becoming the norm. How bad of a rapper are you if only 50% of the things that you make actually stick? Yeah, I'm shaking my head right now. You can't see it, but I'm shaking my head. Okay, that's 7 minutes and 50 seconds of stating the state of hip hop. And now I'm going to get into the first track, which is a skit, Family Therapy, and it's 3 minutes and 23 seconds. That's quite a skit. Let's see how this goes. So, Family Therapy was a skit with the doctor, and he sounds very villainous. And then by the end, he turns bad. And this has been a running theme for him. He has 2 skits on the first ADHD album where this happens, and I really don't understand what this is about. It's mixed in with his ADHD, but then the doctor starts being a villain and making him do things he doesn't want to do, and I just can't figure out what the story is that he's trying to tell. I don't think he's trying to tell a story about his own abuse at the hands of a doctor, because the doctor sounds like a cartoon villain and it's just not clear enough what's happening. It reminds me a lot of Eminem's Relapse, where the same thing pretty much happened. He was in rehab and there's a doctor there, and the doctor at first is giving him good advice and just being a rehab drug addict doctor. Eminem being the drug addict, I mean. And then by the end, he's just saying like, hey, just have some pills, have some alcohol, like, what's the problem? And then he turns into a villain. And that's interesting in itself, in a sort of cartoon way, but it doesn't really have much of a meaning, unless his own brain is tricking him into sticking with the addiction. I don't know. This is what I don't like, ambiguous things, and this is all really ambiguous. I just don't understand what this doctor skit is about. I looked at the other doctor skits in the other ones, and it's the same thing. It's just, yeah, I don't like it. And then there's this, I listened to the song ADHD to see what he was saying about it, and he does portray ADHD. Like, he does talk about it. He's not being flippant with it. He is talking about it, and it's I didn't realize that it was breaking a barrier. Like, Joyner he's done a lot of boundary breaking thing. In fact, my opinion is changing on him now. But when I think of the activism of hip hop in the 80s, I'm thinking, is anyone as far ahead as Joyner Lucas in this generation? I guess in the previous one, Kendrick Lamar was that, but none of their boundary breaking is really celebrated. I mean, Mr. Morale, when it came out, the reception was kind of lukewarm, but I don't think you're necessarily going to put a groundbreaking album out to fanfare. Like, maybe this is the way it goes for some of the more difficult topics to talk about. Some things, like if it's like a fight the power thing or F the police, then that's groundbreaking, and that's gonna, shock people, and they're gonna love it from day one. But this is more the therapy stuff. This is more the unattractive stuff. And so it doesn't hit powerful at first, but over time, you've used your voice to make a difference in the world. And you've had conversations with people that they didn't necessarily want to have, they tried to avoid, but they listened to your music. Like Kendrick's was therapy, and he opened up and he admitted to things that he had done. And I know the reception wasn't very great. It was lukewarm, and I didn't have a good view of it. Like, I only know it from the outside. I didn't really listen to it. I'm not really a Kendrick fan. Although after the beef, Drake got me into listening Mother I Sober, and I thought, wow, this is powerful. Like, I didn't realize Kendrick made this kind of. No, I did know he made this kind of music, but most of his music went over my head. This was very accessible to me, so he did, and it was groundbreaking. But groundbreaking music doesn't get praised when it's breaking this kind of ground. So I'm thinking maybe we should praise Joyner for this, because he's done a lot of this. Like, he did the I Am Racist video, or I'm Not a Racist video, where he had the video where he rapped as the white man and then the black man after. I remember watching that video, and that was my introduction to him, and it was just, wow, someone's really saying something with his voice. It's a powerful song. So Joyner Lucas is becoming that voice. So yeah, maybe we'll start it here on this podcast, where we start to praise him for being the groundbreaker, because us pure hip hop fans, like the ones who like the spirit of the 80s, this is what we want. So we should be championing these people. Otherwise, they're just going to make commercialized music. But the message is not there. Like, I just am confused on the skits. As the song, let's talk about ADHD from the first ADHD album, the title track of that one. He did talk about it. He didn't glamorize it, or he didn't just mention the word and then talk about other things. He talked about it. So I liked it. I guess it wasn't specific enough for me to move me. It was kind of half surface level of the whole thing. Like, yeah, I have these problems, and he was explaining the symptoms of it. He didn't really go into, like, for me, I need, how did it affect your life? Give me some stories of something that happened. Like, let me connect to you as a human. But he got it half right. But it was not deep enough for me to, like, properly move me, for me to say this is powerful. Like Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar on Good Kid, Mad City. That was powerful. I really felt that, and I wanted that from this. So this was only halfway there. So that's everything from the past. And as for present, the skit, I didn't like it. So I found my first skip, which is the skit. So I'm hoping it gets better from here. I'm hoping there aren't any more of these skits. On the ADHD album, the first one, ADHD1, he did have a Kevin Hart and Chris Tucker skit. I'm here for those. If he wants those comedians to come on with their either funny voices or funny skits, let's do that. But let's not have any more of this doctor stuff, unless you're going to tell a proper story. Oh, I just remembered another one that Joyner Lucas did. The guy who was shot in some kind of... It was a gang initiation. Yeah, that was a really powerful... He took someone's story where he met someone, they invited him somewhere to this obscure location, and then they shot him. And the story was that it was one gang member initiating another, saying, find someone random and shoot them, prove that you're a cold-blooded killer so you can join our gang. and the video was kind of gruesome. And he told that story. Like, that's another groundbreaking story, a real human story, a powerful story that Joyner Lucas told. So yeah, the spirit of powerful hip hop is there with Joyner. He is doing it. So let's hope I'm sure I'll like the rest of the album. So let's go. Track 2, which is I Wish I Knew. That was good. That was really good. It succeeded on multiple levels. He talked about ADHD again. Like, maybe this is going to be a theme of the album. I don't remember him doing it on the first album. He had a lot of songs that most of them didn't have anything to do with it. Just the skit and the title track. But here he's mentioned it again. And he's been a little bit more specific than last time. Than the ADHD song. So, yeah. I'm impressed. Snoop Dogg was on the song. What's funny is the way he said ADHD, it was clear that he's not really said the word before. He kind of stumbled on the letters, just like, you know, when you come across something for the first time and you say it really slowly and you pronounce everything carefully, and when you know it well, it just rolls off the tongue. So I definitely heard that, because Snoop Dogg is the last person you want to put in association with these kinds of things. He's quite stoic. He probably has his mental health issues, but on the surface, he doesn't really not a lot seems to bother him. We haven't seen too much in him in terms of emotionality, in terms of problems, in terms of quirks. Like, he's kind of a cartoon character in that way. He's very real and very stable. So he's the worst person to have on this song. Because you can hear Joyner's a little bit manic on the song, and Snoop Dogg is just smooth as ever. So it's a bad choice. But he went into depth. Joyner went into depth about a few things that really shocked me, and this is what I want. So he talked about ADHD first. Then he said, the way I was raised, I knew I'd forever be a problem. Never got the love that I needed at home. I was misunderstood. It turned me to a monster. Dad always letting me down. I mean, Joyner Lucas has been quite vague. He hasn't really gone into details. Here we have details now. This is what I love. I love realness, connection. I need details if I'm going to sympathize with you. And so here he said his dad was letting him down, but his stepfather raised him and showed him that he never needed to bother. I love that. I love that he had a stepfather. I love that he's acknowledging him, and that it all turned out well. That for me is really connecting. And now I'm rich. It'll be a cold day before I ever give him $1. Ooh, that's really powerful. And it's really like, say it with your chest. He said it with his chest. If his dad ever came back around, he's not getting it. Like, that's not even like a stranger. You might help, like, if someone's homeless, you might give them some money. He's saying, oh, I wouldn't give him $1. And that's his dad. So, yeah, that must have been total abandonment for him to get to the point where he doesn't want to help him at all. I haven't got love for anyone who didn't care about me. I'm self-made. You're nothing without me. Yeah. So, there's some ADHD. There's some powerful stories at the beginning. And then he gets quite lyrical after that. I don't think it gets too specific. Oh, well, he says, mother's working 9 to 5, trying to keep it together. No, I like this song, and it's got the amount of realness to it that I want from hip hop. So this is what I want. The beat was good as well. I really didn't focus on it, but yeah, it's a win already from this first track. So let's get into the third track, which is One of Them. So One of Them was a decent song. I like the beat. A bit generic, I think. I don't think we're going to get any different or extravagant beats. I've been spoiled by the Clips album because Pharrell just put out his production level is just it's on another planet. It's on Neptune. So this is pretty standard hip hop. So not that much to say about the beat, but I liked it. He sprinkled in some more ADHD lyrics, so he mentioned it again, so it looks like this is going to be a theme. The song was it was half braggadocious and half talking about some issues that he's had in the past. This was very much a freestyle song in the sense that it wasn't necessarily about anything specific. It was some braggadocious rap and sometimes rapping for the sake of rapping, and so it kind of had two halves to it. It did have talking about problems and typical rap. And Joyner Lucas is good when he does that stuff. With his freestyle rap, with his just bragging, like, he's really good at what he does. So I love that. So this is a very short bit for this song because there's not a whole lot to discuss. But it's not a skipper, which is all that's important. I like the song. The chorus was quite sleepy. Like, it was a boring chorus. He needed to fix that up and change that. Other than that, it was a good song. I liked it. So let's move on to track 3, which is called... Nope, that's not the right one. Tear Me Down. I'm listening to this song and I'm saying, ooh, like that's a blow. Because, this is a love song. And it starts off with a singer. Sounds like a pop singer of some kind. I don't know who it is. I had flashbacks of... what's that album? Revival. Which, yes, did not sit well with me. I thought, pop singer, rap song. This is not going to go well. That album was awful. And I just panicked. And then he got into the lyrics. And it was a great song. It was a song about a relationship. A toxic relationship. And he talked about, mistreatment. All right, I took out some lines here. The saddest part, the part that really made me say, ooh, was when he said, like, I wanted to be with you. Like, I've left you, but I wanted to be with you. That whole idea of, now I've got a better life with a stranger. We both know I wanted it to be you. That thought is, like, that's a really sad thought. That he's with someone that he loves less because he's happier. Like, you think those two things go together, love and happiness, but some people are so toxic that that's not the case. So I really felt this song, and I'm inventing terminology here. I'm coining phrases. It came from here if it spreads everywhere. But I want to split hip hop into 2 types of songs: freestyle songs and topic songs. This is a topic song. A freestyle song is a song with no specific topic and they just rap for the sake of rapping and they just go on and on and on. Topic songs are well thought out. This is what it's about. It's only about this. And this is a topic song. And it's a great topic song. And it's clearly a pop song. Like, he's clearly aiming to manufacture this pop song so that it has crossover appeal. And in music, there's 2 kinds of songs like this. There's crossover songs and there's sellout songs. Another thing that I've said, and I want this to be a quote as well because this is a good one, is I have to figure out how to formulate it, but it's only a crossover song when it's good, and when it's bad it's a sellout song. That's the only difference that separates the two. It's mind-blowing because we criticize people for being sellouts, but actually when they do it well, oh no, crossover star, they're geniuses, they've done it really well. So this is not a sellout song, this is a crossover song. So you can hear it in my voice. I really like it. And I just, again, I want connection. Call me a hippie. I like emotions, I like connection. This is what I want. He's given me this. So this song, and this is a sad song. It's a melancholic song. It's not the typical type of sad song where I'm so heartbroken because you did this to me. This is more complex than that because he still wants her. That changes everything, and that makes it feel so different and so intriguing. And there's, I guess, one reason I like it is because there's some, it's not a black and white song. I don't like black and white songs, black and white stories. You've heard it all before. One person comes to you and tells you, oh, I'm in this relationship and this person did this and did that and did that. And the person telling you the story is the hero or the victim. And the other person is the villain. everything they do is wrong, and everything the narrator tells you they're doing right. And life isn't like that. And so this is not a black and white song. This is a shade. There's another one. Yeah. I mean, I didn't invent this, but I want to popularize it at least. But this is a Shades of Grey song. Black and white would be, how dare you do this to me? Go listen to Drake's What Did I Miss? That is a pure black and white song. There are no shades of grey there. There's nothing of like, what did he do? But here, like, he's admitting to not bad behavior, but the fact that he would, okay, he hasn't done anything wrong, but he's with someone else, but actually no, he's with someone else but wants the previous person. That's not a great thing to do. That's not a hero thing to do. When have you ever heard the story of the hero leaves his girlfriend who mistreats him, goes with another person but secretly wants the first one? That doesn't happen. That's not a heroic story. So it's a wise move. You found someone that makes you happy, so I'm not criticizing him for that. But it does, most people wouldn't admit that. Most people are not going to be real enough to admit, yeah, this is what I'm doing. It's not pure, but it's the best outcome, because it is the best outcome. So this kind of it's vulnerability, because hip hop is a genre of people just being braggadocious and not revealing any of their missteps. And I see it all the time, in even outside of hip hop. People don't really like to admit their mistakes or their flaws, although it's becoming more and more of a thing as time goes on, which is, I'm really loving it. I've always been far on that side. I've always been a person who just, there's all the flaws, like, let me tell you everything. I'm an open book. And I'm actually starting to go the other way, because I realize it's not really serving me well. But even if I start making moves towards the other side, I'm still not going past the halfway mark. I'm still going to be an open book, just not spewing everywhere, especially when a lot of people don't want to hear it. Like, people don't want to be burdened by other people's problems. So only when they want to hear it, or they're open to hearing it, or open to helping. But Joyner is, yeah, he is being vulnerable here. He is stating something extremely imperfect. And and he's talking about, even the other lyrics I'm seeing, we've got to heal. My head is messed up. I don't know how to feel. Yeah, it's definitely my kind of music. If I could say, what do I want? This is it. So I'm very happy with this song. And it makes for a good pop song as well. It is a good crossover song. And I hope it does well. And it might bring, like, he's strategic. He said he wants to do more varied songs. He doesn't want to just be a freestyle rapper, because he could have easily done that. And he would have burnt out quickly. Like, he wouldn't have had the longevity. So he's made the right move. And yeah, I really like this song. It's another powerful song, and he's getting off to a great start. Like, this is, I would have put this further down in the album, so maybe he has more gems down the line. But this was great. Let's move on to, Kevin skit. Looks like a Kevin Hart skit. I loved the other two skits on the first ADHD album, so I'm here for it. I also want a few tracks to skip so I can get this track list down, because you don't need to hear skits that many times. Well, it was Kevin Hart being funny to some extent. He wasn't cracking jokes, but it was a humorous skit. And it's very self-aware. Clearly Joyner would have written it. He takes shots at himself by saying, you're almost 40. He's actually 36. But I like the fact that he can make that kind of joke, because some people actually get offended when you call them their age, and they want people to say, oh, you're so much younger than you look. Like, he's going the other way. So that says maybe he doesn't have as much ego as other rappers do. He still does the braggadocious thing, so he has some ego, but not like uncontrollable, super sensitive ego. Just, he wants to feel good and say good things about what he's done. But he can call himself 40 when he's 4 years off. Yeah. I mean, some people, if they're 39 and you call them 40, they get all flustered and frustrated and like, no, I'm 39. I'm not 40. Yeah, you're 3 months away. What's the problem? I'm just rounding up. Also, the voice was kind of camp at first. I didn't even know if it was Joyner. I didn't even know it was Kevin Hart or not. I was so confused. like, is he doing a voice or is he not? Because as time went on, it got a bit more Kevin Hart-like, but I couldn't figure out what that was. So that really threw me off. And then there's the whole accountability thing where he's saying this ADHD thing is just an excuse for you to say, for you to be lazy, and you're just trying to escape responsibility, and you should really point the finger at yourself. That is a very self-aware thing to do for him to say on the album, that because he knows people are going to say that kind of thing. So I think I do like people. This is a sign of low ego. I do like people who can have that kind of view, like the opposite view. They can entertain the opposite view with no problem. People who are sensitive, they can't do that. If you try and, like, they try to cover up, they try to ignore and push away the opposite argument. They wouldn't entertain it. They shut it down as quickly as possible. And he's actually done the opposite. He's brought it onto his album. He's kind of an Eminem in that way. It's kind of funny because there's a situation going on with him and Skepta. I'm going to get into that later, where he calls him Eminem, and he's turning out to be Eminem. He's insulting himself on his own album. Eminem famously would not only criticize himself, but put all of his stuff out there so that no one can criticize about it, because he's already said it about himself. So you can't really point and ridicule someone. It doesn't have the same power when it's already been exposed. That's why Drake having a kid was such a big expose. Whereas if I was to say Nas has a kid, we all know he has a kid. So it's not an insult that the whole Drake thing, that was a big, not an insult, but a big moment. And it was shameful because he hid it. But the point is, if you put stuff out there already, then it loses the shame. So he's doing that with this skit. So yeah, it was good. It did what it did. Brings a bit of variety to the album. He's bringing back the spirit of the 90s by bringing skits back, because there were skits galore in the 90s, and now that doesn't happen anymore. So he's bringing that back. So Joyner Lucas in many ways is outside of his is in the wrong decade. He was actually meant to be a 90s rapper, and he probably would have been much more successful then. But I'm personally glad, because I want this kind of rapper. So bring on more 90s rappers. JID is in that category as well. These two are 90s rappers in their style. Early 90s, not late gangster rap type, but much earlier, early 90s, lyrical depth type music. So I'm here for it. Track 4, The Way That I Am. Okay, I thought I read that wrong for a second. Again, Eminem, he had a song called The Way I Am, so that threw me off. But this is The Way That I Am. I wonder if he had this debate in his head about, it's going to sound like I'm Eminem, or maybe he did that on purpose, but didn't want to be exactly. It's too on the nose to just make it the same song name. So he said, all right, we'll throw in an extra word there. So Joyner continues to surprise me. So that song was about Eminem. He was actually addressing it head on. He was likening. So there was a skit of Eminem at the beginning, and he talked a lot about Eminem. So anyone who says is trying to liken him to Eminem, he's now just embracing that with this song. And it was good. This was definitely a topic song, but it had multiple topics. He talked about parents, he talked about fake friends. He had some bragging in there, which was totally out of place. The chorus, though, went back to Eminem. And yeah, it was I didn't even notice the beat, but I'm playing it in my head now. It's good. It was somber, and it wasn't so typical, so it was somewhat unique, the strings in particular. So I did like the beat as well, and it matched the tone of the song. So yeah, he's continuously impressing me with this album thus far. I really like this song because, again, it has depth. I don't want to end up saying the same thing with every track, but this one has depth. And it was about a unique topic as well. That's another really important thing. Every song does need to have its own personality. And because this one is focused on Eminem and the comparisons, and he's embracing that, yeah. If he is the black Eminem, I think that would be a great thing to be. People might throw it at him as some kind of insult. So again, this goes by Skepta and Joyner's beef, where he does say that. He calls him the Black Stan. as a fan of Eminem, but it's not. It wasn't really a diss because he's a fan of Eminem. What's the problem? There's no problem with that. Eminem is one of the greats. So if he's trying to be like Eminem, more power to him. So yeah, great song. Moving on to track 7, Riot. So this song was very much an upbeat song. He talks at the beginning about criminality, about I might go to jail. Hopefully the judge is leaning on me. So I think it was very flippant. It wasn't really serious about anything. It was just I'm going to cause a riot. And as far as the beat works for that, it is upbeat. It is fast paced. So yeah, I did like this song. Everything he says has some meaning to it, but this is in the middle. This isn't deep necessarily, but he is talking about some things, like he mentions fake people. There's a bit of bragging, but lyrically it works. But I think the focus of the song is more on the beat and just the fast pace and the chorus and the fact that he's saying I'm going to start a riot. So I think it works on that level. A bit of a forgettable song. When it comes to hits, you really want something that's really unforgettable, and this is somewhat unforgettable. Probably not a skip, but it's very close to the border because there's not really anything. I don't think the beat is memorable enough for it to be memorable, and the chorus needs work if it was going to be that. So this is a somewhat forgettable song, but I'm just leaning towards keep it. I'd only get rid of it if it gets too long, if I don't have enough to cut. But it's interesting, the beat itself, it's got a little bit of a dance feel to it. Not the drums, but that whatever that instrumentation is. Whenever people make jokes and imitate dance music, like he doesn't have the beat, but he has this womp womp sound that just is not hip hop at all. So it came from somewhere else, and I like variety on songs. So, and it does make it feel like a more dancey type track, more of as in the genre of dance music or EDM or one of the other ones which don't have so much lyrics to them, but they're more about the feeling and the vibe. Like he's brought that here. I'm actually getting flashbacks of Blinded by the Lights by The Streets. I really like that. It's a British rap group, one rapper and I don't know what the others do. They must be in the production side of it or playing instruments or whatever. But that was another song where even the video is in a club and you can just imagine like lights flashing like a rave. So it's got that slight rave feeling to it. Alright, track 8, Hate Me, with T-Pain. I quite like T-Pain. Let's see how this goes. I liked that. I liked it. Okay, let's talk about T-Pain straight from the beginning. T-Pain had this rap/singing section. It was kind of a chorus. It was kind of rap-like. But then he repeated it again, so it was kind of like a chorus. And when you have a lot of heavy rap, it's good to have something a bit smoother. So T-Pain absolutely did what he usually does, and it worked. And I liked T-Pain's part. I just didn't want him to repeat it again, unless it's a chorus. Like, either make it a chorus or make it a verse. But I don't want to hear such a big block of text again at the end. As if it's a chorus, but it doesn't sound like a chorus, so that was a slight complaint I have. And then, like this song and Joyner on it, this is about not having money and trying to firstly figure out that the path that people have told you to go is not the way to go. So he's shining light on the fact that, yeah, what everyone said, that's not going to get anywhere. I like that. It's thinking outside of the box. It's looking at the system as a whole and criticizing it. So it's quite rebellious. And then he's saying, yeah, I had to make it my own way, work for myself. And it's very, I was going to say relatable, but most of us don't do that. Most of us have jobs and most of us have bosses. So, but we still like that story anyway, despite the fact most of us are never going to do it. We like the story. So it is relatable. It's relatable despite the fact we won't do it, but the feelings of, I don't have it, like at the beginning, he talks about not having enough money. And I've heard rappers try to be relatable when they're super rich, and it doesn't really work when they are out of touch and they try, like J-Lo and Jenny from the Block trying to convince us that actually she's just like she always was, when actually she's a megastar who's super wealthy and super removed from us. She was trying to rewrite reality and gaslight us about that. That was a weak attempt. But this wasn't that, because he wasn't saying, I'm just like you. He was just saying, yeah, I've got bills to pay. I need to make money. Like, it was all very... It's everything that all of us have felt. He lived that life. He's not... You know, he has actually lived it, so he's just telling us his story. But he's doing a good job of putting himself back in that mindset and talking to us about it. And even T-Pain does the same thing. And it works. It's so relatable. And it's, again, what I like in hip-hop. I want to hear this. There are times I want to hear superheroes where they talk about being super tough and being very wealthy. And there is a side to the fantasy that is appealing. I mean, I'm going to criticize bragging rappers and all of that stuff so heavily. But actually, my collection is littered with rappers not being real, bragging, talking about how much money they have, how tough a gangster they are. So I don't want to pretend that I don't absolutely adore that music, because I've got tons of it in my collection. But I don't connect to it in this. That's a fantasy. I don't connect to it in the same way I connect to realness. So I love this and I champion this. The other stuff is more of a guilty pleasure. Like, I like it, I want it, I gravitate towards it, but I don't sing its praises. But I will rap along to it emphatically, as if I am that person. But this is so relatable, and I love relatability. That is my favorite thing. I like to feel the same as someone. Some people are more about status, so they love admiring people with higher status. And I had a phase of obsessing over tech entrepreneurs, so I've kind of done that. But there's something nice about connecting with someone on the same level as you. So that's what this is. This is a very relatable song, and it wasn't fake. It wasn't what I complained about before. It's not fake trying to connect. It's real connection. He felt that. And he just painted such a picture. Again, I didn't say this the first time, but he did a good job of painting a picture, because, and it reminds me of when Biggie used to do that. He was really good at painting a picture. So top marks on this one. I'm grading it like it's homework, and I really like that song. The beat as well, I complained about him having very generic beats. This was actually quite different. The drum beat was very much a trap drum beat, and I'm a big Future fan. The trap sounds really good. I love that, so I'm happy with the drums. And then even the instrumentation as well, it had a grand feeling to it, and it was different. It was very different. So this was actually a win for the beat as well. In addition to, again, everything worked. Not only did the beat match the feeling of the lyrics, because, well, only the fact that he was rising. It's a grand beat. So, when he said, yeah, I made it, I had to do this, and then I got there. It fits that. It doesn't fit the I'm broken, I'm starving part. But it fits the second half. So, and I'm trying to decide whether it's a somber beat or not. It's actually quite hard hitting, and it's like in the middle in terms of tempo. So, I mean, it doesn't sound out of place for this song. He could have easily gone a different way and told the story of being broken, struggling, without the second half of, yeah, then I made it later. But then that would require a very somber song. But that's not what this was. This was a story of climbing the ladder and achieving, and the beat matched that. So, yeah, I love this all around. Now we are going to... track... Well, it's a Denzel skit, and it is track 9. And it's called Denzel. Okay, that was surprisingly powerful. It was a motivational speech by Denzel Washington, who feels like he's everybody's dad. It's just lovely to hear warm words from Denzel, encouraging Joyner to be better. It feels good. And I recently just watched a documentary about Will Smith, and Will Smith said, after the slap, Denzel said, when you're at your worst moments, that's when the devil taps you on the shoulder. And again, it was just another dad moment. Like, he went over to console this guy who had just gone through a hard time. I'll put an asterisk on that, given that he slapped Chris Rock, but I want to highlight the Denzel part of it. I love the fact that he just came through and put a hand on his shoulder and just try to comfort him. Like, I love warm, comforting people. And he's the fact that he gave 2 people this kind of advice. It does feel like he's everybody's dad. So it was lovely. He was saying you've got more to give. I was a bit unsure of what the point of this was. I mean, Joyner Lucas is firing on all cylinders. So to say there's more to give, I don't think anyone's in the right place to say that, because if you are failing, it'd be dumb to have a song where someone says, yeah, you need to try harder, unless you're trying to be self-aware and show that you understood. But then that album would have to be one where you're actually doing well. It'd make no sense to have a song saying you can do better on an album where you're actually doing badly. So I was a bit confused on that. I loved you know what ADHD is? All day he dreams. That's just genius. I mean, that must have been Joyner Lucas writing that, but it's really intelligent. I was also fascinated by his talk of the dark side. He said, you have a dark side. Where is the light? It says, we know the dark side. We've seen it. You've lived it. Where's the light? That got me thinking. Joyner Lucas actually is quite a villain in a lot of ways. Like, in the way he looks, firstly, especially when he has grills on. I mean, anyone who has grills on, you're not doing yourself any favors. So that makes you look villainesque. He's very tall and he's quite bulky as well. So that's another villain thing. You know, when you think of villains and bullies, you think of that kind of stature. You don't really have that many big friendly giants. That's why it's the big friendly giant, because it stands out. So he has that stature. Also, his looks, he doesn't have like the softest look. He's got quite a harsh look. He's got quite a grown man, rugged sort of look. So he kind of looks quite mean. And his demeanor as well is actually quite mean and harsh at times. He's got a lot of power in his voice. He is not this soft-spoken, I want to help everyone type of person. I mean, Denzel is kind of the opposite to that. He's this soft, loving person, and Joyner Lucas is a bit of an angry man at times, and it can be a bit scary. So when he said, yeah, the darkness, it made me realize, it just clicked in my head. Of course, yes, I can see it. I get it. He already feels like a villain. The fact that he's making positive music is kind of out of whack with what he looks like. One of the funny things about the entertainment industry is if you just lean into whatever you seem, you'll do so much better. Like him being this nice person who's trying to do well in his career, like the shell and the vibe doesn't match that. So you don't always feel it. Whereas someone who seems a certain way, if they lean into that, it's going to work so well. Although it will be fake to them. So I'm not saying he should go dark. He's doing the right thing. But if he ever wanted to be a villain, he'd make an awesome villain. And it's kind of sad. Like, it's like films. Films have this problem where the hero is attractive, they are soft-spoken, they are kind, they are loaded with all the good personality traits, and the villain is loaded with all the negative personality traits in terms of temperament, in terms of scheming, in terms of lack of morals, and especially in terms of ugliness. Hero is always beautiful, villain's always ugly. And I guess that there is an association in our minds with that. I mean, it's not really as black and white as that, but when we imagine things, that's what our brains do. And so ADHD, Joyner Lucas has fallen afoul of that, because he's on the side where he appears like villainesque, but actually he's not that person. Although I do think he has a strong, tough, aggressive side to him. So it's not, he is the villain in some ways, but he's not completely a villain. Like he's a good person ultimately. But I definitely, when Denzel said, "We know the dark side. Let's see the light side," I did automatically think, yes, darkness. That's why I think of Joyner. I don't think of lightness. And I think he does it to himself. His delivery and the things he raps about, like he could be a lot more positive. When I think of positivity, ignore what happened a few years ago in the Oscars, but I think Will Smith when I think of positivity. And that's how you portray yourself as an angelic hero who's positive and wants good things for all people. And Joyner doesn't have that shell. He has the shell of a villain. So that's how you would do it if you wanted to do it. But ultimately, you have to just be who you are and not fake it. So I don't think Joyner Lucas would work, actually. If no, what am I saying? If he leaned into his villain-esque ways, actually, that would work really well. If he made himself the villain of everyone and started attacking people, he would. That would work for popularity. It wouldn't be authentic though, and it probably wouldn't be sustainable. But that would make for like a great rap story, to have him being this ultimate villain, and we just need someone who's an angelic hero who then we can all champion. It's turning into wrestling. I can't believe I spoke so long about a skit, but it just brought up so many things to think about. So, got to go to track 10 now. Track 10 is White Noise. Okay, Joyner's not going to give us the same standard thing all the time, so he's never going to be boring. There's always going to be stuff to talk about. This one felt a little bit strategic. So the drums were very much hip hop, but there was was it a guitar? I don't know, some stringed instrument, and it kind of felt like a bit country, in fact, which I think is strategic. Even the chorus, it was quite sing-songy, and so it maybe he's saying, "Hey, let's lean that way." The chorus was a good chorus. Like, this is what I've been asking for. I want a proper, somewhat sung chorus, and so that worked really well. This is a very somber song. It was about mental health struggles, hearing voices, hallucinations, struggling to sleep. I need white noise in the background so I can focus on that and not on my problems. So the ADHD theme is carrying on. The mental health theme continues. So it's encompassing the entire album, which is it's good to have a theme. I like a theme. The lyrics, like the whole song, it's another pop song for the most part. He's still rapping, but it's very much to appeal to a wider audience. It's quite crossover. Yes, it was good. I guess it wasn't hugely powerful. Yeah, there was something a little bit empty about it, but it still did its job. It's just not one that I'm going to remember. And it doesn't feel like, it kind of feels like sapped of all of his powers, because when he's properly rapping, he's very intense and very strong and emphatic. And this, he was very, very soft spoken. It's like he put on somewhat of a different persona to do this song. So this is going to appeal to people who may not be hip hop fans or Joyner Lucas fans. So it was strategic. I like the song still. The topic saves it. You know, it's not a sellout song because he's still talking about the same thing he has been on previous tracks. So yeah, I do like it. I'm not going to skip it as well because it does have some power. He talks about his problems in a way that he didn't talk about before. So it's a slightly different take on it all. So yeah, I like this one. And moving on to Butterfly Effect, track 11. That one was different. That was a pure pop song. So I had been saying earlier that he's heading toward pop, and he actually just went all the way over. It has some guitars in the background. The instrumentation is guitars. It doesn't have a hip-hop drum beat. And he's singing the verses and the chorus. In fact, the third verse, he's actually properly rapping again. And you can hear the difference. So, yeah, 2 verses of pop verses, which are 8 lines long, not the 16 of rap generally. So it even has a pre-chorus. So I'm in disbelief at what I'm hearing. It continues with the mental health theme, and to good effect. I do like this. I do like hearing about people's troubles, and it's something that you can relate to in music. So I don't have any issue with the lyrics. As for it being a pop song, I don't really want rappers to become pop singers, so I'm not really happy with this inclusion on this album. The beat wasn't hip hop, the lyrics, except for the third verse, weren't hip hop. Nothing about this feels hip hop, and I don't want this. As a pop song, like, it would have been it would be so much better if somebody else was on it. If this was a Justin Bieber song, I'd feel differently about it. I think I'd like it less because it's from a credible rapper. So it's kind of hard to evaluate the song fairly, but it was a good pop song. I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it. The lyrics had something to them. It was a very full song. He didn't waste any time. There's a pre-chorus and a chorus. There's an 8-bar verse, then an 8-bar verse, then verse 3 is a 16-bar verse. So the song was full. So I guess I liked all the components separately, and together it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I'm only soured by the fact that it's on a hip hop album. But it's a decent song. Yeah, nothing necessarily special, but it does show some versatility, actually. I am impressed that he can make this kind of song, because not everybody can do this. Some people do seem like sellouts and do seem, they just make something awful. So yeah, it's a decent pop song. So I'll give him credit for that. So moving swiftly on, Anxiety Wins. Okay. That if the entire song, there's a therapy checkup skit coming up, so okay, I like him sticking to theme, but there is fatigue setting in, especially because it's 18 tracks. If it was less tracks, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but yeah, and it's in the title now, but yeah, let's see how that goes. Track 12, Anxiety Wins. Okay, so that was more of the same. Like, clearly this section of the album is pop sounding songs with guitars, with pop singers singing the chorus, and we're going to cross over. But there's a big difference with this one. This one is really good. This one I really liked because he hit the middle perfectly. It was still rap. It still felt like rap. It still sounded like rap. It didn't sound like a pop song, but it had pop elements to it. It wasn't so hardcore rap that it would have been putting off to other people. So I really loved this song. And the lyrics had detail of what he was feeling. It didn't feel like it was just superficial. Oh, I'm just going to mention ADHD here and there and mention problems with my brain and stuff like that. No, he actually went into detail into what he was feeling. And so it just felt like the most connecting song. So it worked on that level. And then the singer on the chorus sounded somewhat R&B, along with the beat as well, which helped. The beat it sounded a bit rap, a bit pop, not fully pop like the last one. So yeah, he sounded somewhat R&B, and I looked him up and I checked to see who he features because I had a suspicion he was going to be tied to black music. And what do I see? Gucci Mane and Juicy J on his album. So yeah, he didn't sound like a typical pop singer. I had a feeling he had some ties to black music because it just sounded really R&B. So I liked the chorus as well, and I'm really impressed by that song. I really like this song. I think it's what the other songs should have been that the last few weren't. So yeah, it was really good, and it was still rap, so I'm happy about that. So yeah, this is good. Also, there was this one part where he was rapping really fast, and like on one line there were two rhymes, A on the same line, word A with word. I'm doing the whole ABC rhyme scheme thing, but it was always the same one, so there's no point saying A all the time. But one line contained the same. He would rhyme twice in one line, and he did it many times. It was very, very technically proficient, and I love that stuff. It's way too fast for me to hear what he was saying, but I could just tell this is impressive, and I was following the lyrics as well, so it all made sense. And that's some impressive hip-hop feat to accomplish. So, and it helps give it that extra stamp of hip-hop on it, just in case it feels like he's trying to go too far into pop. No. It's still a rap song because he's going to do that. So that was impressive. So yeah, this is one of my top tracks on this album. And now we're going to move on to track 13, New Sofas, and it's got Ty Dolla $ign, the master of choruses, but someone who actually struggles with his own solo stuff, which is really sad. But yeah, he's a master of choruses, so I'm looking forward to hearing what he sounds like here, because Ty Dolla $ign on features, Ty Dolla $ign doesn't miss. That one was okay. Yeah, I wasn't blown away. It was very messy. They repeated a lot of what they said, especially the part with oceans. They mentioned Frank Ocean, and they used that line about 8 times. And I lost my place at one point because I was looking at something else, and then I came back on the lyrics, and I couldn't find where they were on the page because they said ocean so many times, and I thought, is it that one? Is it this one? Is it that one? So I didn't like the repetition. Ty Dolla $ign sounds as smooth as ever. It's a freestyle song, so no major topic, but it sounded good. It's definitely not Skipper. I liked it. It was very, very smooth. So yeah, got no major flaws on this one except for the repetition, so I like this one. Next, we're back to the skits. Therapy checkup skit. I am bracing myself because I did not like the first one. But let's see how this goes. Track 14, Therapy Checkup. That was, in fact, just as bad as I'd feared it would be. So now it's clearer that the therapist is a voice in his head who's trying to convince him to shoot people. Making him the therapist was misleading. Like a red herring, maybe, I think they call it. So yeah, this is voices in his head. That's not really part of ADHD, and that's not really the story that he's telling. So I am very confused on this story. I don't need it. I don't want it. And if he's really dealing with voices and he's schizophrenic or hallucinating, well, okay, we can get into that. Make a song about that. Talk about voices in your head. He mentioned it once or twice, but nothing substantial. This is about ADHD and mental health problems. So to have this therapist who's very much a cartoon villain talking about, trying to get him to shoot people, I don't get it. It doesn't have any weight behind it because he hasn't said anything about having voices. So this is kind of cosplay, really, of something that is just not necessary, something that's not needed to be here. It doesn't add anything to the album or to ADHD. In fact, it's going to water down the whole thing because it's just going to confuse people. So yeah, we found a skip. I'm definitely skipping that. I'm not skipping the other skits because I like the Kevin Hart one, but this one has to go. And I'll probably get rid of the first one as well, the first skit. So yeah, this was just, it's also confused. Like, this is one of those few times when I think to myself, what were they thinking? I can't figure out. Like, there's a lot of bad decisions people make that I understand the logic that led them to that decision. This one, I don't get it at all. It's just baffling me. So with that, oh, and there's another thing. It reminds me so much of Eminem. It's not only Relapse, where the doctor is doing the skit in the beginning, but also Ken Kniff. Like, the person who did the voice must have been influenced because the first few words really sound like Ken Kniff's really sort of deeper voice, where he pretends to be, well, he mimics his voice. He doesn't want to speak like a normal person, so he has this much lower way of speaking, this almost really creepy sound that he makes with his voice, and the person starts off with that at the beginning of the skit, so it feels like a mashup of Ken Kniff and the Relapse doctor. And I didn't really like the Ken Kniff stuff anyway. It was funny, but so to have it here now, it just, like, there have been times when I've said Joyner has made something work on every level in terms of lyrics, beat, mood, chorus, all that stuff. I can honestly say that with this skit, he has failed on every level. Now, to track 16, Active, featuring Big Sean. Ooh, I've got a lot to say on Big Sean. And I'm going to say them now before we get into the song. But very few rappers actually get better as they get older. And very few rappers I respect more as they get older. And Big Sean has bucked the trend because he's done that. Like, he's gone up, whereas other rappers tend to go down. So, and I didn't think that much of him in the first place. I didn't really like him that much. I had his first album, Finally Famous, but there was a lot about him that I just didn't like. Didn't help that his first song was Dance, and it was just, yeah, you don't want to come out with such a, yeah, the frivolity of that song was just, it was just silly. He was just like a caricature. I won't go into what that was about, but yeah, it was go look up Dance, see what it's about. So it was a really stupid song that made me look at him badly. But yeah, I like what he's done since. I think he has principles. I love that. I love seeing with people with principles. I love seeing people who care about hip hop and quality. So yeah, Big Sean has bucked the trend. So with that, now I've given you a great introduction to Big Sean. You're gonna love the song regardless. But track 15, Active. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. This is just traditional hip hop. This is no pop here. It was just a hip hop song. It had Big Sean, and it was great. I loved it. He was rapping kind of medium speed. Joyner Lucas can go fast, and this was medium speed, and I like medium speed. It gives the lines some time to breathe. So I don't really want everyone to be doing Busta Rhymes all the time, because it can get a little frustrating and you can't hear what they say. So here, the speed was good, it left room to breathe, and it makes it more melodic as well. There was a single, not a bar, a beat. There was a single beat at the end of each line. Sometimes he would just say, yeah, or right at the end of the line. But just the fact that he's given some space where he hasn't filled up every beat with, and when I say beat, I mean 8 beats in a line. He hasn't filled up every single beat with some speech, with a syllable. When you leave something like that, then it adds melody to it. It sounds much more melodic than just. So I look for those things, and I liked that. I like Big Sean. He had some good lines as well. He mentioned something about Eminem, where he said, came after M, and I'm stacking these M's. That was just fun. That was very clever. I like that one. And he mentioned Shikari, who's the runner. She's being referenced by every rapper now. I think she accomplished some feat in the running world. She must have got like a gold medal or something. But now she's just being referenced by every rapper. It's quite funny to hear. It's a harmless line, but yeah, if you ever want to mention running, they always just throw in Shikari there. He also mentioned that he will Heath Ledger you. I'm not exactly sure what he means, but I like being imaginative with words and wordplay, so throw it in there. And then also this is Joyner Lucas, by the way, turn you to Swiss, but your girl isn't Alicia Keys. I'm guessing he means turn you to Swiss cheese, because there's a lot of holes in Swiss cheese. And so, I mean, the line before is, I keep an Uzi and shoot through your Beamer. So, turn you to Swiss cheese. Turn you to Swiss, but your girl isn't Alicia. I love wordplay. You know what? What's funny is, my love of hip hop has made me a lover of language, of English, of words, because this is so outside of my normal way of functioning. But when it comes to hip hop, suddenly I love similes and metaphors and this kind of wordplay where it's homonyms, words with the same sound with different meanings. It's homonyms, yes. And they're using this here. Swiss, Alicia Keys. I love it. So I'm here for that. And that's what I want. I want rap with feeling and emotion, but also I was going to say art and sport, but that's not the case. But emotion and story, all that on one side, and then the art on the other side, the technical side of hip hop. This kind of thing, this kind of wordplay. Mix them both together and it's brilliant. I mean, if you could express some emotion and some feeling and some catastrophe with metaphors and similes and wordplay, it's the best thing. Like, people, I see the reactions of people when they hear these lines for the first time, and it's just, oh, like it's powerful. So I adore that. This was freestyle rap, so it was just, they weren't rapping about anything in particular, but they did the wordplay here. Like, they got half of it right, and I don't really need anything more from this song. This song is good as it is. I'm not asking for it to be any more. I really enjoyed it. Beat was okay, wasn't spectacular, was a bit off, but it did the job. I didn't even pay attention to the beat. Yeah, so loved that one. And maybe he's going back into hip hop, so maybe it's like the bookends of the album are hip hop and then pop in the middle. It does really make me feel like I would want a consistent album, because I don't like two genres on the same album. It's just not really working for me. If I could get more of this and more of the stuff at the beginning and cut it down to 12 songs, I'd be happy. I'd be very happy. But no, we've got this mixture. Maybe it's for the sake of sales. He's had to water it down a bit, so that's going to hurt him a bit. Not Now, I'm Busy had a lot less of that. It had a few pop moments, but they didn't feel like pop moments. They just were pop moments without bending or catering too much. So that felt like a fully hip-hop album, and I like that a lot better than this. But this has the meaning. This has the mental health talk, so I'm more connected to this album. But that one is more entertaining to listen to, but this one is more connecting. So, hey, he's given me two different feels with two different albums, which is some great variety. So, we are moving on to Time Is Money. I am, Time Is Money, track 16, Joyner Lucas, J Balvin, I've heard his name, I don't know him, Fireboy DML, no idea, and The Baby. I'm not fond of The Baby. Cancellation aside, I just didn't like him as a rapper anyway. So, yeah, he makes for a great personality. Like, he should be in reality TV, because there's so many interesting things about him and so many likable. He's very likable. But in terms of music, he's actually a really weak, not only lyricist, but his whole act is just, I don't really care for his music at all. So, yeah, like the whole package that he puts together is not very good. So, yeah, I'm glad that whole wave has died. And I'm not happy that he's on this track, but I'll suffer through it. I have somewhat mixed feelings about that one. It was a typical hip-hop song. The beat especially, the drums, they worked really well. They had a lot of bounce to them. And there was this eerie sound in the background. This very low sound. I liked that. That worked in the beat. Then there's the lyrics. Joyner Lucas did his job, as usual. I liked it. And maybe he adjusted his lyrics so that it fit the baby, because when the baby came in, he just slotted in perfectly. So the baby actually sounded decent, and he was rhyming, multiple syllables, and yeah, I don't really have much to complain about. Then there's Fireboy DML, who's a Nigerian singer, and the vibe was very different to the two verses before. It sounded good. I imagine he sounds great on his own song. I'm not so fond of mixtures on song. I do like to keep it one genre on songs. And then J Balvin comes in a completely Spanish verse, which I obviously can't understand, so I can't really critique it, and it's kind of hard to enjoy as well, so I kind of just zone out at that point. He sounded decent as a rapper, so I don't know much about him, I haven't heard him, but in terms of the flow, it sounded decent. And then, yeah, Joyner came back again for a second verse. Fireboy DML came along again. So, I liked it. It was entertaining, just not anything special. And I would have kept it just Joyner and the baby, and maybe Fireboy can do the chorus and keep it to that structure. But I can't fault the song, though. It is a decent song, and I can see other people loving the song as well. So, yeah, decent song. Alright, we're coming to the end now. Last two, track 17, Listen to My Demo. Yeah, please listen to my demo. That was, again, Joyner has given me something I explicitly asked for. That is brilliant. So this song, very minimalist, barely any drum beat in it actually, and it's a song about it's a topic song, fully, 4 verses, and he's telling the story of trying to get signed, giving rappers his demo. I got huge Stan vibes from this song. That song also had 4 verses, 3 verses of someone in a really weak position, really trying to get on or be heard by their favorite person, and then a final verse from the person who has made it. In this case, it's Joyner himself, and he gets a message from, or he comes across a kid who wants to hand him his demo, making the cycle complete. And Eminem in Stan, I think he got a letter or a tape. Yeah, the tape. So Stan was a crazed fan who wrote to Eminem and he never got a response, so he got angry and then ended up killing himself and his girlfriend, and sent him a letter, an angry letter saying, you pushed me to do this. He reads the gushing letter, but then realizes the guy who died was actually the guy who wrote the letter, and so in terms of structure, actually they are extremely close. I don't know if my mind is just playing tricks on me, or is he really just doing something very Eminem-like? Because I don't want to just... It feels like an easy one after everything people have already said about him being Eminem. All the similarities. He's featured on an Eminem song. He was on the Kamikaze album. But no, I think this is actually legitimately like Stan. Like, there's continuous Eminem references, so... He even mentioned Eminem in the song, in fact, that the Up in Smoke tour was on when he was a kid, and he went over hoping to give the demo to any of them, but his dad had tickets for the show, but then said kids can't go. I was a bit confused on that. I was thinking, is this his dad being a hero? And then turns out, oh, he's not allowed to go. Is it his dad being a villain, giving him the hope that he could go there, but then taking it away at the last minute? Is it his stepdad who is actually just calling his dad, who was actually trying to do him a favor, or maybe he didn't even tell him these are for you. Maybe he just said, hey, I've got 2 tickets. Of course kids couldn't go to the Up and Smoke tour. I mean, that's just ridiculous, of course. That was just a little bit confusing, but yeah, the story really works. It was really powerful. Like, this song doesn't really fit on this album just because it's very deep, very minimal, and it's very subtle. Hip-hop tends to not be subtle music. It tends to be, hit you over the head music, and this is very soft and subtle. It was full circle, and it was lyrical, but not with wordplay, not with trying to do anything, just emotion and just telling a story, which is actually my favorite kind of rap. When you can just tell a story effortlessly, you're not having to bend words or bend phrases in order to make everything fit. You could just, it's like you're talking normally, but everything rhymes. That's my favorite type of rap. I love that. And yeah, he was doing that here. It was just very simple. So I really enjoyed that. So the beat was somber as well. That really worked. And there was barely any chorus, which I'm actually going to praise here, because he just said, please listen to my demo. Like, that was the chorus. And rap, you make a lot of songs with a lot of verses, and choruses aren't their forte. So I don't expect them to have an amazing chorus for every song. Actually, I'd rather either you have an amazing chorus or you have barely anything as a chorus. Just let the music play or just say a few words. And he did that here. Because if he had some more elaborate thing that sounded like it was rapped, but it wasn't sing-songy and it wasn't different. Like, I hate those choruses. The choruses where you can't tell the choruses. I hate those. So if he just says, please listen to my demo, that's enough. A chorus can just be a repeating word or a repeating phrase, and it's enough. So, in summary, this was an amazing song. This was a topic song, and it was deep, and I really loved it. And yeah, putting it near the end of the album makes a lot of sense. I guess he's going for quite a somber ending, a much faster beginning and a somber ending, which I kind of go with that as well. I don't really like albums going up and finishing on a high note. It makes more sense to end smoothly, start off fast and end smoothly. So we are now going to track 18, the final track, Mama, featuring Chris Brown. Chris Brown. Well, I guess everyone deserves to be forgiven, so let's see what he can do on this. I mean, Chris Brown is great, generally. I just do have feelings about whether he should be in music or not, but hey, there's people should be forgiven, so yeah. But I did shudder at first when I saw Chris Brown there. And it's a Mama song, which I like and dislike. I'm a bit bored of them by now, but I do like it when people are praising their mothers and praising other people. Hip hop is very much a medium of bragging, and I did everything myself and I'm amazing. So for someone to have less ego and just say, hey, my mum was great, that's a nice thing to hear. Unless he's going to go the other direction and say he hates his mother, but that's Eminem style. I doubt he's going to do. In fact, you wouldn't call your song Mama unless you were trying to trick people. So he's probably going to praise his mother, I suspect. But yeah, it'd be hilarious if he just came out and just said, I hate that woman. Ah. Okay, track 18, Mama. It's kind of redundant at this point, but that was a powerful song. One desire I have in the future is a Mama song that's an amazing song, or that's a hit, because sometimes when you try and make these songs you make a lot of compromises. So it ended up being in terms of like how good of a song it was an okay song, a bit lackluster, but the power was in the lyrics, so it doesn't really matter if it doesn't sound that great. I was just totally focused on the lyrics. But the song was powerful. I mean, it got me thinking about my own mother. And he was talking about she would kill for me and then go to jail for me. And I was just picturing it in my head and thinking, yeah, they would do that. They would. So it was quite powerful and emotive as well. Like, not from what he was doing. The emotion in him wasn't so huge. I'm more talking about the emotion that he triggered in me, the listener, by listening to it. Chris Brown as well. Like, he was very praiseful of his mother, and it's just, yeah, it made for a great song. I love some of the details as well that Joyner puts into his verse. So it made it a really real song. You can make an empty mother song where you just say, Mama, I love you, you've done everything for me. If you have no specifics, then it's just going to feel empty. But he's actually telling his life story, really, about his situation. So that added some realness to it. So I loved it. Yeah, it was great. The album is now done, and I'm so glad that therapist did not come back. Yes. We escaped. We survived. We didn't have to hear that again. And yeah, that's the end of the album. So overall, I've got to think about what I felt about the album. I liked the album. I struggled to find skips, actually. I don't think I found any songs that weren't skits, that were skips. So I like the whole album. It's very consistent, which I find is rare for albums. So it was very consistent. It was lyrical. It was deep. So I did like it. I think I preferred Not Now, I'm Busy. Even though it had less depth. It was more rap, harder, faster. It was more entertaining, let's say. This was great to engage the emotions and the feeling, but if you're really going to do that, what you really want to do is cut it down to less tracks and have more emotive tracks, because it just went from one side to the other, and I personally don't think that works. I think you can have fast songs and freestyle songs, and then you can have love songs, like empty love songs as well. I think those two kind of go together, but this kind of real deep emotional song with actual detail, and you imagine yourself there, like Joyner Lucas has put me in his position. I have imagined myself as him, which is actually quite powerful to do in music. So that's a really useful skill, and that's a really good feeling. But it would feel a lot better if the whole album was like that, because you get taken out of the moment at the beginning, or you're not in the moment at the time, and then you get taken into it. So I love this mode. Like, I'm still in this mama mode. I'm still feeling this glow of this warm feeling I have. And if that had been extended to 12 tracks, that would just be this glowing euphoric feeling that I would have. So that's a criticism, but if we're just talking how good is this album, and like, I liked it a lot. I have a lot of praise for this album. I love the lyrics. I love the feeling. Like, the feeling is the biggest part. It had a theme with ADHD, so he touched on that properly rather than just having it be a title. So I'm going to be listening to this album more often. I'm probably going to add it to my collection. I really like Joyner Lucas. He is proving himself here with this album. I look forward to the next one because I think there is potential, especially when he stops trying to be half of two things. He definitely has pop in his mind to try and take over that. And I would rather he just put out a pop album. Like, just go full pop, make a hip hop album, then make a pop album. But, don't do half of both. But this, I like the beats, no duds, because that can really go badly. I mean, we saw that happen on the Carter 6 had a few beats that were off and some verses that were really awful, and a lot of songs skipped. So this doesn't have that. So yeah, I really like this album. It's ADHD2. It was great. Okay, that's the episode. That's the album, the first listen. And yeah, I'll be back with more. Not necessarily another album until there's one worth reviewing. Otherwise, it'll just be news. So, bye all.